So Luna PNR dropped a new crazy theory, which is something that we've actually talked about before on the channel, and it's the egg on Roger's ship. We didn't know what to make of it, thought it was a creature, thought it even possibly could have been like a part of the ship, but Luna PNR thinks that it might have, you know, long story short, became Shanks's sword that he has right now. Yeah, so let's get into it, because the thing that reminds us of this actually is in the latest chapter. In the beginning, we see when the Roger pirates are encountering the Kuja pirates. This is like 48 years ago possibly, and they have the egg on their ship at this point. And there's also another point in the story, I don't remember exactly where this was, but 52 years ago when we do see the Roger pirates, they don't have the Oro Jackson or the egg. So that means sometime between 52 and 48 years ago, they got the Oro Jackson from Tom and they got the egg. So Oda likes to also adapt some things from his previous works into the story. Like for example, we saw Ryuma come into the story. Then that other gangster guy, was he a part of like Rox's crew or something?
Yeah, the gangster guy is Gil Bastar, and he later joins the Rocks Pirates. He's like a very like subtle background character, and Oda was like, yeah guys, like in this SBS, I want to reveal that he was indeed a Rocks pirate. It's like, okay, thanks Oda.
So another thing is Romance Dawn, maybe the most significant one. And in that story, there's this creature, or this like legendary bird called the Kaicho, or the rock, the legendary rock bird. Luna Piano essentially thinks that inside of this egg is like a bird. And I think that's what you speculated about too, Sai, like there was some kind of bird or something in the egg.
I speculated that it could be a bird, a dragon monster, just something of the sort. And it's funny because I don't want to spoil where this video is going, but I do believe that this could be tied to potentially an ancient weapon. I could even see.
Okay. That's right, I forgot, you did mention that as well. Luna PNR doesn't say anything about an ancient weapon, but it could be one and the same. Because if this thing, this egg, is a creature of some sort, it eventually does become a literal weapon, as we're going to talk about. But the thing is, it's like, where has this thing been all of this time? I mean, it still has to exist. Oda has been showing us it for a reason. So it's like, where is even the Oro Jackson? Well, it's possible it's at Elbaf, because that's where Gaban is. You know, Rayleigh obviously doesn't have it, or it doesn't seem like he does. So maybe Scopper has it at Elbaf. Maybe that's why he's there. Maybe it needs to be there. Maybe because it's so big or something. Not really sure. But we know that Shanks visits Elbaf a lot. He goes in and out of there. We saw him in the flashback, you know, at the beginning of this flashback of Harold and Loki. You know, Shanks was chilling with Scopper. So was he going there to tend on this possible bird that hatched from this egg? Because if it did hatch, it would have been within the last 12 to 5 years. Because apparently Shanks has different swords at some point in the story, which is really interesting. And I want to get your thoughts on this. So like, back when like Shanks meets Luffy, he has a different sword. And considering that this is like the very beginning of the story, I thought, oh, Oda just drew his sword Griffin differently. You know, it's like, oh, you know, makes sense. But it's like, if we go to the cover page of chapter 838, we see Shanks at like a wedding for some reason, and he has a different sword. Like, it has a different hilt on it than what Griffin does. And I don't think it was a mistake. So it's like, what do you make of that? What do you make of Shanks' two different swords that we see him have?
Yeah, personally, like, I feel like Shanks, like most pirates in One Piece, like, they upgrade their swords over time. I feel like it could just be a design thing. When we go back to, like, earlier One Piece, I feel like it could be the same sword, but just obviously upgraded over time via art style. But that doesn't negate the fact that as a child, though, it is a solid fact that Shanks did not have Griffin, right? When we see Shanks with the Roger Pirates, no Griffin at all. I think he was using like 2 swords even, and I thought that was kind of cool. But yeah, you're right. He does get Griffin somewhere down the line, and I think it's interesting when you think about like how these swords function, right? It's a supreme grade blade, and a lot of swords in One Piece work in very odd manner. And I think where we're going with this is the theory that maybe the egg and the sword are connected, and I think that's a lot of fun. And I don't want to spoil it, so you want to get into it real quick?
Oh no, please, please take it.
All right, I'll rip off the band-aid. So it's going to be an art video. They said that the egg eventually hatches, and the egg is Shanks' sword. which sounds odd, but Shanks' sword is called Griffin. We saw that, when he was fighting Kid, a Griffin just like manifested behind him. It was like a hockey Griffin. I don't know what to call it. Obviously, that's not in the manga, and then we also have Film Red, where Shanks used an attack, again, not canon, not in the manga, but when he attacked there, like an eagle popped out from behind him. And that's like, okay, it's something with Shanks and birds. It just goes hand in hand, really, right? So Lunapian Art is saying that the egg hatches into a rock, which is the bird from Romance Dawn. Go back, I think his name is Balloon, specifically. A one-piece balloon. It is a rock that the prototype Nami had. It's like the Nami with blue hair that I'm sure everybody's familiar with. I think her name was Anne. And yes, they're saying that yes, the egg hatched, became the sword, and Shanks can use his sword in the same manner as Shamrock. Shamrock has a blade, but it's also a Cerberus. So Shanks would be in that same vein, where his sword would be an actual griffin, or maybe even a rock, or any bird-type creature, and that originated from Roger's egg. And that would explain where it's been the entire time, right? Shanks has been simply taking care of it. And funny that we talk about Shanks and Elbaf too, because in the mural, we see this like dragon bird creature at the very top shooting fire. And it's like, okay, like I wonder if that exists in the heaven realm. Maybe it's dead current day. We don't know what's up with that weird monstrosity. But when you think about this theory and the whole notion that Shanks might have this legendary rock monster, that could just be Shanks and his sword. Like, oh, like because he defends Elbaf, because Elbaf is like his quote home base. Yeah, like that's him. You mess with Elbaf, you get attacked by Shanks's griffin sword monster thing, which I think is kind of fun. This is still a mystery, but Shanks has somehow traveled from the New World to Marineford in a single day. The Marines mentioned that when he showed up, like, wait, how is Redhaired here? He just fought Kaido yesterday. Like, that was an anomaly. And that's when Oda first teased the idea that Shamrock existed. Because somebody said, hey, Oda, does he have a twin brother? And Oda was like, oh, I'm not answering that. That is where that comes from. And even with the twin brother thing, that still, like, doesn't exactly solve it. Like, oh, did Shamrock fight Kaido and then Shanks came here? Like, that still doesn't make sense, which could be true, actually. If we take away Shanks, maybe it was Shamrock, but for the theory, though, for the theory's sake, we're saying that it was Shanks, and the reason why he was able to travel all the way to Marineford is because his sword blew him over there, which I don't think is absurd. I have a theory that's kind of close to that. Mine is that Shanks is the Griffin, but this is saying the sword is the Griffin instead, which, like I said, it's fun all around. I love the whole notion that Shanks, as a celestial dragon, can transform like his brother's sword and like the Gorosei in a way. I think it fits, but that's just me. Sorry, long-winded rant, but there you go, Zhoniin.
No, I mean, yeah, I'm on board with it too. There's something to it because its name is Griffin, and then we have that hockey Griffin, that's Usano. That's like the real big selling point. And also, we recently saw that Shamrock does have the Cerberus fruit, or had his sword eat the Cerberus fruit. Opposite, it would be that he fed a devil fruit to this Griffin or this rock creature that allowed it to become a sword. And we've seen that also before with Spandam, Funkfried, his elephant sword thing. And if it's not a devil fruit, then it just could be the ability of this rock or griffin creature. And then, yeah, that's how he's getting around. It's flying the ship, because we saw at the beginning of Elbaf, that Mugen bird thing, that was flying, the Straw Hat ship into Elbaf. So, man, if Shanks and the Red Hair Pirates are getting around on that thing, because, like you said, they made that comment about how he's getting there so fast, him getting to Marineford, him fighting Kaido, and then stopping the war. And then, recently, or a couple years ago, we saw him show up to Wano randomly and stop Ryokuyu. I mean, yeah, that was promoting Film Red. That's why he was there. But him getting there so fast and then just piecing out, just the bird, it would be cool. I would be on board with it. Yeah. And it also makes you wonder, like, okay, so if he's fighting and you push him to the point of where he has to activate the sword to become the Griffin, it's like, what is he doing at that point? Is he like fighting with his fist? Does he pull out his gun that's implied that he has because he had it in that game? Not sure. So we talked about before, like, the current strongest characters of the past and whatnot, but I want to talk about, like, who are the 5 strongest characters in One Piece right now. And I think there is a pretty clear-cut answer. At least there's, like, implications. We're gonna have to just be like, yep, it's because this guy is implied to be the strongest despite having no feats. Because, you know, at the top of the ladder in One Piece at this point in the story, there's just hype moments and aura for the top guys, right? Like, for example, Emu. Let's just get it out of the way. Emu is the strongest. Like,
yeah, Emu's number 1 right now. Yeah, 100%. Out of currently alive characters, yeah, he's definitely number 1.
Yeah, like, just the things that Emu can do break the series. Like, they can do things that no other character can do, and then some. On top of that, like with the demonic magic, the Domi Reversi, the transformations, the implied devil fruit, whatever, if it even is a devil fruit, whatever they're doing, there's not even like a close second to Emu, right? I mean, yeah.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, like, I think the Rocks panel really helped Emu's portrayal as well in terms of power. Just the fact that Rocks showed up and said, yeah, couldn't do anything, I'll be back. It's like, okay, that's speaking volume.
Yeah, I love that. That is one of my favorite moments in the series already, probably. Rocks, when he was established, how cool Rocks is. You know, how much of like a maverick renegade he is. But even he was like, yeah, I'm the coolest guy in the world, but even I can't really do anything against you. So, but I'll be back.
And that's the guy that, Roger and Garp, quote, teamed up against back at God Valley. You're telling me that Rocks couldn't do anything? Because I remember for a while, people were like, okay, if Roger really wanted to beat Emu, could Roger do it? But now it's like, I don't think he could. Like, prime Roger, no sickness. Like, I feel like he still wouldn't be able to beat Emu. At least not by himself. Like, maybe if he teamed up with... I feel like if Roger teamed up with Rocks, that'd be a different story, but, like, solo dolo, no. I don't even know if Luffy can.
No, I was going to say, it has to be end of series Gear 6 Luffy.
Gear 6 Luffy? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, Gear 6, and then... I'm imagining, like, everybody who, like, is of the D Clan, like, helping Luffy, like, come on, this is our destiny, we gotta beat this demon thing, and it's like, okay, like, that's cool.
Yeah, exactly. So like we were saying, there's like no even close second at this point in the series.
Not right now.
So it's like, who are the other 4 strongest? Well, it's like, is Blackbeard among them?
Top 5, like off the top of my head, right? We didn't like do any research or like hard facts before this video, but I would say Blackbeard is definitely top 5. You know, you could say Blackbeard's a wimp, he's a coward, he always gets injured, he doesn't look good in fights, and I agree. But you gotta admit, there's something about Blackbeard that we do not see. We do not see, like, his entire fight start to finish ever. Well, except for Whitebeard, but, you know, he kind of, like, came at the very end. You know, like, Blackbeard has, like, the literal, like, off-screen, no me. We cut away, Blackbeard just wins. Like, there's something about this guy that we do not know of yet. He put the fear of God in Shanks. Shanks, to this very day, years later, still keeps tabs on Blackbeard, trying to take him down. So yeah, I do put a lot of hype on Blackbeard's name. So I'd say he's top 5. Where I had to rank him, though, I'd say, like, maybe 3? I don't know if I would give him the number 2 spot right away, though.
4, somewhere around there. And also, you know, he's the only guy with 2 devil fruits, and both devil fruits are absolutely busted. Yeah, he just looks sloppy in his fights, but he gets the job done. On paper, he should be number 2, but it's just his, you know, his track record. He just looks sloppy. That's where I would say Shanks, probably the 2nd strongest.
It's funny, you know, before this flashback, I'd probably argue that Shanks isn't 2nd strongest, but now that we have, like, the Child of Destiny, you know, Gojo-ass line, it's like, maybe he is. You know, they're like, like, you're the Child of Destiny, Shanks. It's like, okay, now we're just, yeah, okay, I see it now. I guess Shanks would be 2nd, but it's tough when I think about his family. It's like, okay, if Shanks is this strong, like, his dad surely is maybe stronger or around that level, and then of course his twin brother who's older. It's like, like, is Shanks really just that golden child and everybody else around him just pales in comparison? I think so. And then of course Oda, like, if we're talking about Shanks Glazers, Oda's the biggest one. Like, he's like, yeah, if I was a character in One Piece, I'd be Shanks. Like, that's crazy, man. I love it though. I love that energy. So yeah, I think Shanks would be 2nd strongest. I think even in terms of, like, information, I feel like he's just up there in general. So I'd say Shanks number 2 is very fair. But funny enough, the number 2 spot in my head, No feats. I don't even like the character. I do not like Dragon, but I'd kind of want to put Dragon up there.
Yeah. That's the thing, is that you kind of have to, because of his stature in the series. Implied to have the highest bounty. Not because he's the strongest, but still, pretty impressive. His implied devil fruit is busted. He's the father of Luffy, come on, son of Garp. Already guaranteed freak powerhouse.
We know that he wants to eventually fight Emu and take down the WG, so it's like, yeah, like, I think when it comes to these characters too, I try to think about their future fights. Like Shanks, I don't know who Shanks is going to fight. I guess his family, and he'll beat all of them. Blackbeard, he'll probably want to beat Shanks. Emu doesn't really have any competition they want to fight. Emu kind of, I feel like, is a free-for-all for everybody. But for Dragon specifically, the only person Dragon has to beat is just either Akainu for the Marines and Emu. And those are not easy opponents to beat. So I'd say Dragon is just, if he's not in the top 5, I think it'd be a little bit disappointing. I think that's a good way to frame it. If Dragon's not up there, I'd be so sad.
I mean, I guess it's pretty competitive right now, because I kind of had Dragon around 5 or 6 because of the Figarland family. I think they're all top 5.
No! Wait, what? You put Garland and Shamrock and Shanks in there?
Yeah.
Okay, wait, that's... wait, so Emu, Shanks, Shamrock or Garland, and Blackbeard. That's a crazy lineup.
Yeah.
That family needs to be studied. Like, maybe we should bring back, like, selective breeding at that point. If they're really powerful, I'd be like, please, Garland, lay your shit everywhere.
I don't know why this needs to be sold. Look at their credentials. Shanks is a Yonko, Garland is a Gorosei, and Shamrock is the leader of the Holy Knights.
Because I'm thinking of this from like a game perspective, but I'm thinking about like the balancing. Like imagine like dropping a patch and it's like, yeah, by the way, every ADC gets like a 500% boost. It's like, wait, what? Like just this one family? What about the other lanes?
Yeah.
Like,
Oda messed up. He overpowered the Figarland family because he's like a stand for them.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, they have a whole movie just for Shanks, right, where they drop the Figarland name anyways. Shanks still has an ability we've never seen, which is the, observation canceling hockey, which people have said that we've seen that in Film Red. We haven't. People are saying that's what he did to Green Bull. That's not confirmed. So it's like, yeah, Shanks canceling observation hockey is just insane in general, and it's like, yo, like, if he can do this...
They can all do it.
If they can't do it, they should be close to doing it. So it's like, yeah, that's still insane. Damn. So funny. I'm not gonna lie, at number 5 I have Mihawk.
Ah, you know what, I forgot about Mihawk. It's so competitive. You know what, I'll put Mihawk above Shamrock. I'll put him above Shamrock. I don't know about Garland, but I'll put him above Shamrock for sure. That's fair. I'm sorry, I forgot about Mihawk. I'm not on the Mihawk as a fraud train. I totally respect Mihawk. I do see him as a Yonko, essentially. Like, he is the Yonko, not Buggy.
The way I see it going down is like, I could see Shanks fighting his dad, and then as far as Shamrock goes, I would love it if Mihawk fought him. Like, dude, imagine the nasty one-liners he could drop on Shamrock. Like, oh, you're nothing like your brother. Your brother was way better with a sword than you are, you fraud. Like, oh, dude, Mihawk could slander the hell out of Shamrock. And that's what I'm all about.
We do need, like, oh my god, top tier swordsman to lose to Mihawk, because Mihawk doesn't have any like big wins to like I would love to ask Oda, why is Mihawk said to be the world's strongest swordsman? Why?
It's gonna be like Sukuna. I could see them being like, and by the way, Dragon 50 years ago destroyed like the 5 generals of the East.
Yeah.
Mihawk took every swordsman on the East, like the West Blue. It's like, we're gonna get something silly like that.
No, I mean, he would. He would. Yeah, he beat that man 15 years ago, who was the best swordsman in the world.
Yeah, this man had a bounty of 5 billion.
Yeah.
Mihawk took him down. Or, oh, Dragon, why did he leave the Marines? It's because he had a crazy battle against John.
And his name is spelled Jawn.
Yeah, Jawn. John the Maniac. He had a bounty of 3 billion. Dragon took him down, and then he said, I'm leaving the Marines. There's no justice here. Because John was fighting for Johnstice.
Yeah. I'm going to Amazon Lily.
Yeah. So that's our top 5 then, right?
Well, that's the top 7. But yeah, we'll put Shamrock out, bring Mihawk in.
I like that we didn't have Luffy on this list. I'm happy about that.
He's top 10. but not top 5.
I don't like putting Luffy in the top 5 right now, just because I feel like there's still room for Luffy to grow. Luffy not being the strongest of the verse, I think is a good thing, because that means he can like train, he can struggle in fights, he can grow, learn more about his fruit. I think it's always good when the MCs are not there yet. End of story, Luffy, yeah, sure, top 1. But right now, nah.
Yeah, I mean, he's. I think we're gonna see him struggle soon in this arc.
I hope so. I hope Emu doesn't just get pushed around by Luffy.
Nah, there's probably some tricks or something. But let me know what you guys think in the comments, what your top 5 is. Actually, this is going to be pretty contentious, but yeah, let me know. So we're continuing the Rocks and Loki flashback here, and we're somewhere between, I think, 48 and 42 years ago. I mean, we're going to be 42 years ago eventually in this chapter, but right now in the beginning, we're somewhere around there, and we're seeing like what the Rocks pirates are known for, which is like essentially just being pirates and doing like pirate stuff, which is funny, of course, because you know this is like a pirate manga, but sometimes you kind of forget. With the way that like the lore goes and the power system and the character designs and everything and the motivations of these characters. So it's like funny and refreshing kind of to see the Rocks pirates in their prime in this chapter, because they are straight up, you know, pirates, or what we typically know of what pirates do and are and look like almost as well. And of course, it's just an incredibly legendary crew. I just wish we could see more of this. Because, you know, we're seeing like young Big Mom, Kaido, Whitebeard, Shiki, all like getting into shenanigans together. We're also seeing like who, I guess the initial traitor, quote unquote, of the Rocks pirates is in this chapter, and it's Shiki. So as like a portion of the Rocks pirates are escaping with like their treasure and whatnot, we see that Kaido and Whitebeard are like behind. They're like in a, I don't know, below where they are. And Shiki decides to like drop a bomb on them. Like literally like a bomb. And he's like, this way the rest of us will get bigger cuts. Which is just like stupid because, you know, Rocks and Kaido are 2 of the strongest members of this crew. Like just kill off some other weaklings. Like I really doubt that the other new Rocks pirates that we're introduced to lately are as strong as Whitebeard and Kaido. But anyway, it's just like a comical sequence, but also just further showing that the Rocks pirates are just known for this. They didn't trust each other. They're all kind of like individually going out for their own goals, collectively using each other in a way, I guess. And they're all, you know, like kind of crazy too. Where it goes from a range of like, I guess the craziest member of the Rocks crew is Shiki, and then the least craziest member would be like Whitebeard. And then all of the other members would be in between there. Then we get some more exposition about the Rocks pirates after the sequence ends, and it's like in a mere 2 years, they set the record for like 16 raids and 76 sunken ships and all these port raids, bringing nations down and unprecedented violations of Article 18 of international law. And it ultimately is just trying to say that this is like the era of Rocks, this period in time. And it even goes out of its way to say, like, even though Roger was sailing the seas at this time, and he will eventually become the Pirate King, right now, this is Rocks' time. And man, it was. Then we're coming back to Harold, and we're seeing that he's, like, helping this allied nation to Elbaf. This Anishi nation, or country. I don't know if we've seen them before. Maybe they've been mentioned before. I don't know. There's 1,157 chapters. It's possible that this has been said before, but I don't remember. But anyway, it's essentially just like a saving the cat moment for Harold here, because he goes against like the world government agent here and defends these people of Anishi. So it's setting up that like, okay, Harold is like a good guy for sure. He has come so far that seeing even a world government agent, you know, act like a psychopath here is enough to push him to just straight up impulsively try to save the other person being assaulted here, despite knowing what's going to happen with Elbaf and how shaky the relationship is with the world government. So like I said, just setting up like, okay, Harold is capable of both siding with Rocks, but also realizing the mistake he had made and why he is more vulnerable to the offer that is going to be made to him at the end of the chapter. But anyway, speaking of Rocks, he comes back to Elbaf and he tries to recruit Harold again. I guess he especially thinks that this is a good time to try to get him because he read in the newspaper what we just talked about. You know, Harold attacking that world government agent, defending that ally nation. And Harold is explaining to Rocks, like, you know, it's good that giants are spreading out from Elbaf and going into other countries. And he talks about John Giant, who we've seen, you know, during Marineford before. Apparently he was been in the Navy for 50 years at this point, which I didn't know. Maybe they said it before, I don't really remember, but it's just a shame he's never really gotten that strong over 50 years. But Harold sees this as like a benefit for the world overall. You know, spreading out the giants to every nation, you know, using their strength could make a difference for people everywhere. And Rocks is like, he's on board with it. He's like, yeah, now that's terrifying. Rocks is not a good person. He's like an anti-villain for sure, if anything. But also you can kind of see it as him just like sucking up to Harold. But you know, you also don't think Rocks would do that. That's more of like a Blackbeard thing. Rocks seems to be like a straight shooter. Then we're coming to the Navy HQ and we're seeing Kong talking to Garp, Sengoku, and Osaru. So at this point in time, I thought that Kong would have been the fleet admiral and Sengoku would have been an admiral, but no. The three of them are actually vice admirals. Well, of course, I mean, Garp and Otsuru, of course, vice admirals, but so is Sengoku still, and Kong is an admiral. So according to some supplementary info, it could be a Viver card or something like that, I'm pretty sure it confirms that Kong eventually becomes the fleet admiral, and then as it says in this chapter, he will eventually become the commander-in-chief, as we've seen him currently in the story. And it makes you wonder, like, who are the other admirals at this point in time? I doubt Oda's even going to show us, because one of them was killed by Rocks recently, and then I guess there's got to be at least another one, right? There always has to be 3 or something, at least 3, is that like the rule? But they're just talking about Rocks and how giants joining the Navy is just a beneficial thing overall. They're just establishing like, hey, we're good guy. We're not evil like the world government. Then coming into the end of the chapter, we find out that Shaki has quit the Kuja Pirate, has set up her ripoff bar on Hachinosu, and this is now officially 42 years ago. So that means that we're pretty close to God Valley at this point, because it was 38 years ago. So we're 4 years away from the God Valley incident. But anyway, Shaki has set up her ripoff bar on Hachinosu, and it's very possible that she left them because she's, I don't know, using this as a way to, I don't know, wind up with Rayleigh in some way, but not succumb to the love sickness, or maybe this is related to the love sickness in some way, possibly. Because when Gloriosa and Big Mom are talking about this, Big Mom's like, do you reckon she quit so she could chase after a man? I do think that could possibly be a hint to Rayleigh, for sure, but I don't know, maybe there's some other kind of ulterior motive that will eventually be revealed in a couple years. But there has to be some significance to Shaki opening up this place at Hachinosu and her becoming like a treasure to the people there. But anyway, at the very end of the chapter, we see that the Gorosei are relaying a message to Harold saying that, hey, if you want Elbaf to be accepted into the world government, then you gotta have the warriors of Elbaf kill Rocks. So I don't know if this is like going to be the best translation, because when we got the spoilers a couple days ago, it said that the Gorosei requested Harold himself to kill Rocks. But now it's saying the warriors of Elbaf. And that kind of makes more sense. But also I think it would have been better writing if he was just straight up asking Harold to kill Rocks. But we'll see what happens with that. But either way, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier with Harold attacking that guy defending that allied nation of Elbaf. It's like, of course, he knows that he's in a very critical situation right now. He wants to do the best for Elbaf. He wants to spread out the warriors into the world and help people. But in order to do that, he needs to be accepted into the world government. And he knows that Rocks is like a piece of crap. But he's like a piece of crap with a heart of gold. Like, he kind of likes Rocks. I mean, why would he let him around his family and all that stuff if he didn't? He just doesn't want to join him. And he doesn't trust him completely. So it's like, is he going to do it? Will he do it? Because Rocks does die. It's heavily implied that he's dead right now. I mean, I think it's straight up said that he's dead. You know, other than the grand theories of his soul being in Blackbeard, I mean, pretty sure Rocks is dead. We don't know who killed him yet, but at this point it could be Giants or Harold. My money is still on it has something to do with Garland but we'll see. Let me know in the comments what you think is going to happen or happened.
So now that we know that like Emu can change people into demon monster things, give them superpowers and seemingly regeneration, augment their weapons, make them bigger, it like makes you think, how far does this go? Like, who else could Emu do this to? And I'm thinking like maybe Loki, because at the end of the previous chapter, it kind of implied that like Loki was going to come up to the Sun World or wherever that's going on right now with, you know, Emu and the Holy Knights fighting against everybody, because, you know, Luffy and Loki's group aren't there. They're in the underworld right now. So it seems like Loki is aware of what's going on. He felt Emu's haki, or at least that was the implication. And he wants to go up there and save Elbaf. So in theory, Loki would be up there and encounter Emu. So just like, I haven't talked to you about this yet. What do you think about that prospect of Loki becoming the way that Dory and Bronchi are right now?
I'm a huge fan of it. Personally, I could see a lot of people becoming demons. Like, it doesn't seem like there is a bar yet. You know, like Tall Man, the guy from last chapter, the giant, he just got turned immediately by being beside Dory and Brogy. He didn't even fight them, right? He just walked up to him and then boom, magic circle, Domi reverses, demon mode. Like, what the hell, right? And then as far as like Brogy goes, like, yeah, he fought Emu for like a second, but the giants around him just turned left and right. So at that point, like, who's to say that Loki, like you said, doesn't get turned? And then besides Loki, let's say Zoro, Sanji, the Straw Hats that are captured right now. Like, it doesn't seem like there's anything stopping the Domi Reversi. People are saying hockey's going to be the answer because hockey usually is, but we don't even know that yet. Like, nobody's tried, right? Like, I think that's the most insane part. And then the worst part is that, brother, half the Straw Hats don't even have hockey. So if that is the case, we're going to get like, you know, Demon Chopper, Demon Usopp. And then, of course, Demon Loki would be the most terrifying of them all. Loki was already the strongest giant here. You make him like 10 times stronger. Like, that's horrifying.
That's what I'm saying. He's already one of the strongest characters, period, right now, or at least it seems that way. And I mean, I can't be alone in thinking this. We've all been wanting to see Luffy fight Loki. Like, that's, I don't know, it's kind of been built up, right? There's been built up between parallels between them and the ambiguity of his power, his past with Shanks and how Luffy's interested in that, and us just wanting to see Luffy tested, essentially, because he hasn't really been tested lately. I guess since Kaido, possibly. So this would be like a great way for them to fight, because right now they're like friendly and everything, and there's no reason they would fight other than them just having like a random dispute. So if Emu does do this to Loki, not only does it give us Luffy versus Loki, an excuse for that, but it also is an excuse for like Loki to heal, I guess, because he's still recovering from being like stabbed by Shamrock and beat up.
Right.
Yeah, beat up by Gunko. So he's at like a couple HP. He did eat meat, which he's been doing for the last couple chapters with Luffy. And I guess he has that like regen ability from consuming meat that Luffy does too. But still, he's not like anywhere near capable of just having like a 10 fight chapter. I mean, a 10 chapter fight at this point. So if Emu does whatever they're doing, I guess there's some kind of healing that comes with it, because when they shot off, who was it, Dory or Broggy? One of their I forget which one. Their names, they're interchangeable. I think
everybody says that.
I think Dory is like the shorter one, right?
No, Broggy is the short, fat one.
Okay.
Dory's the cool, you know, skinny swordsman.
Okay.
But yeah, no,
Broggy.
Everybody gets that wrong.
Shot off Broggy's hand, and once Broggy became like the demon, it was like floating. Like the hand was like floating, and it kind of resembled the regeneration that like, you know, Summers and the rest of them have. So either it's currently regenerating, or it just kind of like puts you in like a time stasis of recovery. I don't know. It just seems like something will benefit Loki in that case. And then him getting the power boost, of course, is insane. He's already so strong. So I just think that would be a great, I guess, big arc ending fight for Luffy instead of just fighting Emu Gunko. So what do you think about like that possibility.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of like if Loki becomes one of these monsters, which has kind of been hinted at beforehand with what Shamrock asking him to join the Gorosei, or not the Gorosei, the Holy Knights, right? And if he would have joined the Holy Knights, he would have been turned into a demon and got those regeneration powers anyways. So since he turned that down, maybe it's time to forcefully put it on him instead. So I wouldn't mind that at all. I mean, the thing is that with Loki, right, we do not even know what devil fruit he has. So who's to say that like the demonic form of that devil fruit goes even harder than it already is? Like it's the legendary fruit of Elbaf apparently. So you take that, you put it on crack. I think that would be the perfect opponent for Luffy. And like you said, like Luffy, you know, I would argue that he was a little bit pushed against Kizaru. You know, I'm a Kizaru fan. But in terms of Gear 5th, minus the whole time limit he has, he really hasn't been pushed. I would say not even Kaido pushed Gear 5th in that aspect, right? Like outside of the time limit, Luffy just doesn't lose. You know, he just takes hits, he laughs, and then he's just dancing around. And then, yeah, like, you know, he'll lose because of the time limit, but when he gets back up, he's fine. So I would love to see a villain really put the fear of God into Gear 5th Luffy. Yeah, I want to see somebody, like, wound him even. Because I feel like that hasn't really happened yet. Like, even Kaido, he used Ragnarok, you got the Advanced Conqueror's lightning coming out, he slapped Luffy all the way down, and Luffy just gets back up and he laughs. It's like, okay, wait a minute. Kizaru shoots him, Luffy eats it, boom, light comes out of his eyes. It's like, okay, wait a minute. Like, this is... I love it, right? I think Luffy does feel like a Yonko. This is what people wanted. But hear me out, guys. Luffy cannot be number 1 right now. He's got to be like top 5, but we still need some struggle for the final villain. I think people don't understand that if Luffy's just overpowered and he just wins every battle, I mean, hell, like, why are we even going to fight these guys at that point, right? If we're just going to mop them. We need a struggle. We need some kind of big bad villain to just really make us wonder, will he win? I think that's what makes Luffy's fights always so exciting. You know, go back to your favorite Luffy fight. It's a fight where Luffy struggled a good amount, right? You know, so I would love Demon Loki. Hell, put Demon Harden in there too, you know? Yeah. I'm a big Harden fan right now. Yeah, I bought the stocks, man. Harden becoming a demon? That could be crazy.
Interesting. I didn't think about that. But yeah, I mean, I guess that would buff him up enough because he needs that extra little boost of power, I guess.
he's really bad right now. I need Harden to do something, man.
Yeah, I actually like that. But yeah, I guess that's it. Just I think this actually is going to happen. It just seems like all of the pieces are there just for Oda to just do it. I mean, we're going to see Luffy do something with Imu Gunko, but saving Luffy ultimately defeating Imu in any way probably be better for the end. Like maybe he'll get that Celestial Dragon Charlos type punch in, and then that'll be it. But other than that, I think the ending of this arc for Luffy, at least, like his final battle, should be against Demon Loki, and that way it protects both characters because Loki was buffed, so we don't know his true power, even though the buffed power is greater than whatever it is. He was taken over, and yeah, and he was injured, and Luffy's Luffy. So I think it just works for everyone, essentially.
Do you think if Loki got turned into a demon that he'd be able to retain himself? That's a great question too, because it seems like everyone just immediately is taken over by it, and then they're like sociopaths or whatever, which is fine. But I wonder if like you could just fight through it, like Garo in One Punch Man or something. Like you just don't accept it. Just take over.
Yeah.
Or like a Vegeta with the Majin power up, right?
Oh no, that's an even better. That's like the prime example. So yeah, for sure, that would be cool too. And then he sacrificed.
I would love it if they got turned. Yeah, I would love if they got turned and they just fought back against the Giants, right? Because we heard Loki was the strongest of all of them. He could take all of Elbaf on. So it's like, wait a minute, like now that all of Elbaf is becoming demons, maybe Loki takes them on again. If he retains his, his memories and himself, maybe even Harden joins in. I don't know. I keep on shoehorning Harden. Like people forget, but they're brothers, man. You know, they share the same blood.
You're trying to.
Harden's gotta have some talent.
You're trying to pump and dump this Harden coin.
Yeah, it's like a 2-for-1 special, right? Like, oh, you're buying Loki? Well, let me tell you, it comes with a free Harden, man. Come on, pick it up.
Well, that's it for this one, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments about Loki becoming a demon, Luffy fighting him.
Hey guys, today we're talking about Akainu, the fleet admiral of the Marines, because I think he has a few secrets to him, believe it or not. And I got my boy Sai, the #1 Akainu fan on the planet.
I love Akainu, man. He's just so great overall, from a design perspective to power to Oda Glaze himself. Like there's just so many things to go off of, man.
So as
I'm here for Akainu.
So as you also notice, we're saying it in two different ways. He says Akainu, I say Akainu. It's just how it kind of happens. I mainly say it that way because like that's how his name is like constructed. Aka Inu, red dog. Like all of the admirals have like that color and then animal associated with them. I think it's supposed to go back to like the story of Momotaro, right? Where Momotaro met like a monkey, a pheasant, and a dog. And then we have the three admirals. Aka Inu is the red dog, Kizaru is the yellow monkey, and then Kuzan is the blue pheasant, which is pretty interesting. But we're talking about Aka Inu here. So the first thing that I would like to discuss is what truly happened between him and Kuzan on Punk Hazard. Because we don't really know too much about it. We only saw maybe one or two panels of it in both the anime and the manga. Never like them fighting or anything, kind of just them standing, right? We know the end result was Punk Hazard being terraformed, essentially, through the implication of their awakened Logia fruits completely changing the environment. That is one theory as to why that transpired. But my personal theory as to what happened with that fight was they had a deal beforehand. Like they went into that knowing what was going to happen, and whoever won would become the fleet admiral, which we the audience know, but we don't know any other details to that. And I think the other detail to that was loser of the fight goes undercover, Departed style. If no one's seen The Departed, you should watch it. It's one of the best movies ever. I think that's what happened.
Yeah, I've seen that theory before, saying that Kuzan is being sent on a mission to spy on Blackbeard. I agree that Kuzan is undercover, but where I get tripped up is the Blackbeard specificity of it. The thing with Kuzan working under Blackbeard is that it seemed really random, right? Kuzan was just at a random bar, Blackbeard subordinates showed up, he froze them, and then Blackbeard showed up. It didn't look like Kuzan was actively looking for Blackbeard to join him. It was just happenstance brought them together. So I do think Kuzan is still undercover. I think he's undercover right now, even though, he froze Garp and almost killed him. I think he still has a lot of good in his heart personally. I mean, we even saw him shed tears over at Garp, right? So I think he works with an ulterior motive, but I don't think that he necessarily was going after Blackbeard from the get. I think he was really just aiming for any pirate group or anyone that he could ride the wave with. And it's interesting because when Blackbeard offers Kuzan a position in the crew, he says, hey, we both have our own goals. We're just going to help each other along the way. And that's what Kuzan agreed to. He never said that he wanted to work with Blackbeard or anything like that. Like, Kuzan has his own goal that we just don't know of yet. And I kind of wonder if Blackbeard even knows, right? Like what is Kuzan really after? But I love that idea that one goes undercover, one becomes fleet admiral, because that's like yin and yang. It's so different. My headcanon, and like I said, this is just headcanon, but I kind of imagine Akainu just outright winning this battle immediately. Because when you look at the battle scars, right, Akainu walked out of it with the crazy scar on his chest and his neck, but Kuzan, he lost a leg, dude. He straight up lost a leg. Like, Kuzan was not looking good after that fight. And we have the dialogue from Jinbei on Fishman Island where he says that Akainu could not bring himself to kill Kuzan. Because they were once friends, because they grew up together, Akainu just couldn't pull the trigger. So because of that one thing, it almost feels like Akainu just stomped Kuzan. Like he just didn't lose. So my headcanon is that it's kind of like an Unohana versus Kenpachi thing from Bleach, where Akainu just kept on beating Kuzan, but he just couldn't pull that trigger over and over. Because like the 10-day time frame is crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, they fought for 10 days. It's like, wait, what? Like, really? Like, most fights in One Piece last like a single day.
Yeah, I was just saying, Luffy could barely
The hell
fight
is
for like
that?
15 minutes at a time.
Yeah, with like Gear 5th and everything, and Gear 4th, it's like Luffy runs out of steam, dude. What do you mean 10 days? I think Ace versus Jinbei was 3 days, which is also a little bit silly. I think Oda just has fun with the time frame.
He
to be honest,
does.
but like I said, that's my headcanon.
Well, Akainu was so much more powerful than Kuzan that he was just dominating him for 10 days without just like killing him.
Okay, that sounds a little bit silly. I'll dial it back.
No, because
You know.
that's literally what happened with Unohana and Kenpachi. right? She was bringing him to the brink of death and bringing him back for like, I don't remember the exact time frame, but it was a very long time, right?
Yeah, because they were like trapped in this like little. It was almost like the hyperbolic time chamber of Bleach. But realistically, I think Akainu did beat Kuzan. I don't think he just kept on stalling out the fight over and over. But as far as the awakening thing goes, I do agree with that.
Okay, so maybe you're not on board that there was collusion before this fight. Like one goes undercover, one becomes the fleet admiral. But what if they are? Okay, let's actually just remove Kuzan for the equation. What if Akainu is a member of Sword? Because on that one cover page, I forget what chapter it is, it's like when he's pruning the bonsai and like Kizaru's there, Akainu has his shirt off. And I think that's the only time we ever see him with it off, right? He has like Yakuza-esque tattoos. Yeah. And on his, I think it's his right bicep.
It's his left.
He has a sword tattoo. And it's not just like a typical sword. It looks exactly like the sword that Joy Boy holds in the silhouette that Who's Who imagines, right?
Yeah.
It's like that
fair,
Roman-esque sword, right?
Yeah. It's like your stereotypical sword that you think of when you think of like a game RPG or a logo. But yeah, as far as Akainu being in Sword, I could see it because Hibari is a part of Sword, which I know sounds a little bit silly, but there's a long ongoing theory that Hibari is Akainu's daughter. And
another secret of Akainu.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's like the second thing right there. But like with Akainu, there's a couple of specific things we know about his character. We know his age. We know he has a very unique dialect because when he speaks Japanese, it is of a particular region in Japan. And that's a thing that only Akainu had until Hibari was introduced. Hibari is the only other character that shares the same dialect. And then, of course, we have the two-piece Kobayama manga, which is a spin-off of One Piece made by Oda's editor and, sanctioned by Oda and Shueisha, where there's a character that looks like Akainu, and there's a character that looks like Hibari, and their father-daughter. And also, the girl, Madoka is her name, but she has a crush on a character that looks like Kobe. So, like, there's a lot of parallels there. I think it's very on the nose. And then we had the Vivid card drop just, like, 2 weeks ago, where we learned Hibari's blood type, which might not sound important, but she shares the same blood type as Akainu. And, at first it's like, okay, that's a little bit strange, but we gotta remember, Sanji's blood type is why we thought he was royalty all the way back, 15 years ago. And now we have the same blood type for Hibari and Akainu, and it's like, okay, if we're saying Sanji's royalty because of that, and it was true, this connection's pretty apparent too. I think it's set in stone. So Akainu being a part of Sword, it could just be because he wants to protect his daughter, help out his daughter, or maybe he doesn't like Sword and that's why he got the sword facing down because he's like, oh, I can't believe my daughter's doing this. There's a lot of ways you could spin it, but I think the connection's there.
Yes. I'm personally convinced that Hibari is Akainu's daughter because it would just be too perfect for Kobe's ultimate revenge on him, right?
Oh god, yeah, that's gonna be a crazy scene. How would they even dude? If Hibari jumps into the mix, I don't think Kobe could fight, and I also don't think Akainu could fight either, right? I think Hibari is gonna be that one butch I'll put that will just stop everything. She has Akainu's heart, I think. Of course, we haven't seen them interact. We don't know. I'm just taking a guess, but a lot of these hard-ass characters, they have that one weakness, and I think Hibari is gonna be that for Akainu.
She is. But I was actually being a little more meaner with my sentiment. And it's that, how Akainu just tried to straight up murder Kobe. And I'm not saying he was wrong. That's up for you to decide. But his ultimate revenge would be like, oh yeah, you hate me, you call me a little baby, trying to murder me. Well, how about, now your daughter's my girlfriend. And
that's crazy, dude.
That's the ultimate revenge. It's like, I'm your daughter, Akainu. All right? Game over.
I feel bad for my guy, dude. I feel so bad for Akainu. I mean, hopefully Kobe proves himself and Akainu does end up liking Kobe. I feel like that's a really, tangible possibility. Their senses of justice are completely different, but I think there's always room for character growth. And Akainu is not exempt from that. I feel like once he sees Dragon again, or once he sees Kobe grow, or once he sees what the world governs up to, I do think Akainu will change a little bit. Of course, we have to talk about how much he'll change, but we do know that Oda's come out on multiple occasions saying that he loves Akainu. Akainu has the best design. Like, verbatim, that is what Oda said. He said Akainu is the most handsome guy in the series that he's ever designed. And he also said that he wants to cherish Akainu. Like, okay. It's also based off of one of his favorite actors, too. So it's like, yeah, I think once we get that Akainu stuff, I feel like it will be good. And that's the funniest thing, too. People are like, oh, people are glazing Akainu. But it's like, guys, if you want to talk about Akainu glaze, talk to Oda, man.
Yeah.
Like, he's the one putting this in SBSs and interviews, dude. Oda loves this guy.
Yeah. He was like, yeah, he would get the One Piece in like a year. No problem. It's like, all right, man.
Oh, yeah.
Not even like Reddit is that high on him.
Yeah, that's why when people put him in the top 5, they're like, wait, why? Like, why are people putting Akainu so high up? It's like, dude, ask Oda. I mean, Oda gave this guy a 5 billion berry bounty with Crosscode. You see that?
Yeah, pretty controversial.
That's
I'm not going to say
insane.
it's not. I'm not going to say that he's not worthy of a 5 billion bounty, but
He upgrades when we see him though.
yeah, there's a whole other discussion about how strong he truly is, but I guess that's it for this one, guys. We went over all the secrets of Akainu, at least so far. Once again, thank you for Sai coming on the channel. His channel link will be in the description as always, and have a great day. See you guys. So recently, you guys may have seen some things about Oda saying that the story was going to end in a couple years going around social media. I did. And I saw an article actually on a kind of a reputable site. It's kind of popular. I don't want to say the name. But they said that Oda, in a 2025 interview with Gosho Oyama, the creator of Detective Conan, Oda surprised readers by saying that he planned to finish One Piece in 3 more years, aiming for a conclusion around 2028. So when I saw that, talked to my boy Sai here, I was like, hey, did you see this? What's going on? What's going on with this? And then Sai told me
that it's clickbait, that they got fooled. Yeah, the article, while it was written in 2025, the interview actually came out in 2022, which is hilarious. Some of these sites are a little bit shameless, but they're trying to get those clicks. But I think overall that did bring us to an interesting talking point, and that is, how long does One Piece actually have? Because in that interview, Oda said, oh yeah, there should be about 3 years left. But in that same interview, he goes on and he says that, don't mind me though, guys, I'm really bad with timelines, because he always gets them wrong. I think before that, in like maybe 2018, 2017, he said that One Piece only has 6 years left, and then we passed that mark. And then he said 5 years, we passed that mark, and it's like, okay, yeah. He understands, like, the meme of timelines. Like, yeah, I probably shouldn't guess anymore, which, that's fair. Right? You can never tell how long One Piece has left, but now that's got us thinking about, like, the future arcs. Like, what left do we have to cover before One Piece is over, and how long will that take?
exactly. I mean, if you just think about what has been covered since the original interview was made in 2022, that was around the time when Gear 5 was revealed. When Wano was ending and all that stuff. So 3 years since then, we've had the end of Wano, little post-Wano stuff, and then the entire Egghead Island arc, and then like the first quarter of Elbaf, maybe. So I don't know what he was expecting. Is he trolling? Or is he just really that bad with timelines? Because like finishing One Piece, which, I guess we'll start talking about now, there's so much that needs to happen. There's no way we can even cover it all in this video. I mean, we'd have to talk for 2 hours, maybe. Literally.
I might be misremembering this one, but I think around Whole Cake Island, Oda said that the story was like 70% done. And it's like, really? I don't know about that. 70% done, Oda? Like, I think it's because, like, this series is his baby, and, like, he has all of his thoughts already planned out. So it's one thing, like, having those thoughts, and it's another thing, like, drawing it out and, like, doing everything you want to do. And it just makes the series longer and longer, which isn't a bad thing, by the way.
No.
That's definitely not a negative, but yeah, thinking about everything we have to cover. We're in Elbaf. After Elbaf, where do we go next? Do you think we'll go to Lodestar, which is the final island in the One Piece verse, besides Laugh Tale?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we kind of have to, right? Because it was mentioned, and it's the last island. I don't think we're going to get like an entire arc dedicated to it. We might get a couple chapters there or something, but we're definitely going to go there in real time for sure.
So Lodestar might be one. Marie's Raw, which is like the final war, which, dude, the final war, that itself is going to be like, what, 2 years long at minimum?
Yeah, minimum. That's if he rushes through it, it's 2 years.
Yeah, because Oda only puts out about 30 to 40 chapters a year, because of all the breaks between him and the magazine. So we get about 35 chapters on average a year.
Yeah, so
like Final War, it's at least 60 chapters for that.
Well, I mean, like, the Final War, I mean, and maybe I'm off by a little bit. In Naruto and Bleach was like 200 chapters each.
Yeah. And there was a lot of lore they had to explain in there, right?
Yeah, I mean, it wrapped up all of... Yeah, but it also wrapped up all the loose ends, all the lingering character arcs and stuff. Well, mostly. Yeah, I mean, Bleach did it pretty good. I mean, Naruto was good too, I guess. So imagine One Piece, which is like quadruple the size and lore of those stories.
Still need the Void Century flashback, and if we put that in the Final War, that's like maybe 3 to 4 years, man. Like, Oda did say that the Final War would make all the other wars seem like babies in comparison. It's like, okay, Marineford, relatively short, but going back to the most previous war we had, it was Onigashima. And Onigashima took a hot minute. Like, we were there for a while. So it's like, yeah, I don't think we're gonna, like, leave One Piece anytime soon. Like, if I had to put a number on it, I'd say One Piece is going to be over in, like, 2032. I think we have, like, almost 7 years left in the gasket, which I feel bad for Oda at a certain point. Because Oda, I think deep down he does want to end One Piece in a way. Because it's like, he started One Piece when he was, like, a spry young lad. And now, like, I think he's in his 50s right now, and he's talking about retirement. Like, he's looking forward to retiring, man. And he has all this money and these millions. And he just doesn't have the time to spend it. So I kind of wish he did get, like, more vacations or something. But, yeah, I'm glad he's not, like, rushing the story for the sake of it.
No, that's the thing, is because, like, we've, as a community, seen this with Horikoshi and Gege. With Jujutsu Kaisen, Gege for sure. He was done. He was checked out. He was ready. I'm sure he's happy that it's over. Oda, I don't know, maybe somewhere in between. But, yeah, he's definitely taking his time. I like that you're saying 2032. I remember when we talked about this before, you thought it was going to be way less than that, but yeah, there's just so much that needs to happen. Like, even just with Elbaf, we need to finish this flashback, which is going to take maybe until September, and then when we're going to come back, the big war battle stuff needs to happen. That's going to take a while, and then after that, who knows what happens after Elbaf.
We have so many factions to visit too. Like, I mean, we have Cross Guild, we have the Marines with Sword, we have Blackbeard, we have the Revolutionaries, we have Shanks, we have the Holy Knights, which I don't know if they're gonna flesh out the Holy Knights like super hard, but I think they will, because they do stem from like the 20 original families. So I could definitely see Oda going hard on those guys. So it's like, dude, we have like so many characters we have to like flesh out and tackle. That's why whenever we get like SBS lore drops, it's like, okay, like it kind of sucks, right? Like, it sucks hearing about your favorite characters in an SBS. Like, that means we're never going to get it. But at the same time, it's like, well, I think Oda just saved himself, like, a month or two with this. So, fair. I get it.
Yeah, it could nitpick and stuff. But at least he just gets it done and gets it out there. That's more than I could say about, other manga. Because they don't even, take the initiative to do something like an SBS or a Viva card or something. But, yeah, I think 2032 is a good conservative estimate. I'm looking at the date, like I can see the date. Yeah, 2032 or more, for sure, or more.
Or more. Yo, Oda heard that, he started tearing up just now. He like sneezed, like, oh no, somebody said I have to work for 7 more years, please. And then the Toei execs are like, yes, here we go, more One Piece content for us.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I bet Shueisha and Toei, they're like begging Oda to like prolong the series. They're like, please, Oda, don't leave us anytime soon.
Oh, no, yeah, no, they are, yeah.
It's a major series, man. Like, without One Piece, I don't know what else they have. And I think they want One Piece to last for a while so that other series that are newer can have, can establish good legs in the industry.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, even when the manga ends, the anime will have, like, 3 or 4 more years. Maybe 5 after that, because Jujutsu Kaisen ended last year, and the anime is going to go on maybe until 2029, possibly.
I mean, the anime is only like, I think, a year and a half behind in terms of like the manga, so they're not like super far off. And it's one of those things. It's because One Piece is it's constantly airing. Like, unless they take like multiple breaks, I can see us. I wouldn't say like getting an adaptation sooner, but we are closer than farther away, I think.
Yeah. Well, yeah, relatively.
Egghead right now. Yeah, we just got out of the Kuma flashback, and that was like what, a year and a half ago ish.
Yeah, but considering that they did take that break for a couple months, I think that's going to show them like, oh, we can just do that. We don't have to just keep pumping these episodes out. Every now and then we can just take a break and just, I don't know, pump out Punk Hazard HD version.
Remastered. Yeah, here's Punk Hazard remastered. Here's Dressrosa remastered.
Yeah. All right, guys. Let me know what you think about One Piece ending. When do you think it is? What time? How many years? What did we miss that needs to be talked about and discovered in the story? Let me know. Check out Sai's channel. Link in description. Have a great day, guys. See you in the next one.